Welcome back. The chair of a gold industry working group on occupational lung disease says there is a compensation fund for people suffering from silicosis.
Former mining executive Graham Briggs was speaking to journalists at the mining Indaba in Cape Town. He said the fund, which is valued at about 3.7 billion rand, is held by the Department of Health. Silicosis is an incurable disease caused by inhaling silica dust from gold-bearing rocks.
Well, for more on this, let's speak to Devan Murugan, who is at the mining Indaba in Cape Town. Devan, thank you so much for joining us. Now, perhaps just remind us of the background to the silicosis issue.
Yes, good evening, Lulu. Well, the background really is that this incurable lung disease was contracted by miners who spent their time underground breathing in this dust. Now, it's been happening since the 1960s. You would remember in May last year, a court ruled that a class action suit representing about 500,000 workers could go ahead. The gold industry has since said that it would appeal that decision later this year in court, and that's set for around about mid this year in the Supreme Court.
Now, Devan, how was the fund developed and where did the money come from?
Well, Graham Briggs, as you mentioned, the chair of this working group on occupational lung disease, he's also a former chief executive for one of the mining companies. He's saying that the mining companies put aside 8 rand every time a gold mine worker went underground for his shift. And essentially what happened was that amount accumulated to, as you rightly said, 3.7 billion rand. Briggs also saying that the amount should be enough to compensate all the silicosis sufferers who used to work in those mines. But, of course, there isn't a definitive solution yet. The collaboration is still continuing.
Now, when you say there isn't a definitive solution as yet, does this mean that the payouts haven't started? What exactly is happening there?
Well, in its initial phase, it's been happening in drips and drabs, and one of the reasons put forward in the past is that they were unable to trace many of the victims, and those that could have been traced, of course, will have to wait for this collaboration, as I speak about, between the companies, labor, and government itself. For the health department now holds this amount of funds. But, there is hope, at least as far as the victims' families are concerned, that some out-of-court settlement could be found. You must have seen today in some of the stories that some of these victims have actually said that the wait is too long. They're suffering from the consequences of having their fathers, the breadwinners, who went down these mines, that have contracted the disease. That in itself had some financial implications for them and led to, in some cases, their poverty situation being drawn out. So hopefully, and Graham Briggs has also suggested this today, that perhaps, a solution can be found sooner than later, but whether or not it would be an out-of-court settlement, I think that remains to be seen.
Devan, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That was our reporter, Devan Murugan, who is in Cape Town at the mining Indaba.